Love is supposed to save us, but sometimes it destroys us before it teaches us how to rise again. And the day their marriage ended was the day their lives forgot how to breathe. Aries and Mehar sat in the courtroom like two shadows pretending to be human, and when the paper was signed, there was no scream, no noise, no anger, only silence, the kind of silence that does not break. It kills slowly, and they stood up like strangers who once knew the language of each other's heartbeat. They walked out of the courtroom into a world that looked the same, but everything inside them had changed and the sky was bright but nothing felt warm, because grief has a way of freezing the sun inside your chest. Aris went to his apartment, a place that once smelled of laughter and chai and late-night talks. But now it smelled like nothing, and he sat on the sofa and stared at the wall, wishing he could rip out his memories one by one. But memories are stubborn, and they cut deeper when you try to forget. He picked up the wedding album and opened it, even though it hurt, and he saw Mehar smiling in her red dress, like a dream you never want to wake from, and he saw himself holding her hand, believing in forever, and he wondered how forever becomes yesterday. In just a moment he closed the album and put it away, like someone hides a wound so no one can see it bleeding. Mehar sat in her tiny new room, the walls pale, the light weak, the loneliness heavy. She opened her purse and took out her diary, her hands shaking like paper in the wind, and she wrote when a chapter ends. Nobody teaches you how to begin again. Her tears fell and left small marks on the page, like rain on dry earth. She wanted to scream, but her voice stayed locked inside her chest, because heartbreak is quiet and cruel and slow. Days passed like ghosts made of time. Ares went to work, wore a normal face, spoke normal words, but inside he was drowning in memories. Every morning he woke up expecting to hear Mehar calling his name, and every night he slept with the weight of silence on his chest. He made tea for one, he cooked for one. He lived alone, and loneliness is a hungry thing. It eats you from the inside. Mehar worked at a small library arranging books, cleaning dusty shelves, helping children who loved stories more than reality. She envied those children because stories end, but life keeps going even when you do not want it to. She smiled in front of people and cried behind closed doors. Her heart was a glass jar full of broken pieces, and she tried every day not to bleed on anyone. Months passed. The pain changed shape. It did not scream anymore. It whispered like a ghost living inside their ribs. One evening, Mehar sat at a cafe drinking tea, watching rain fall outside, and each drop felt like the world was trying to wash her heart clean, but some stains never leave, and she was staring out the window when the door opened and Eris walked in. He did not see her at first. He ordered tea and sat near the window. His face tired, his eyes older, his soul wounded, and then he looked up and saw her. Their eyes met, time stopped, breath stopped, everything stopped because the heart remembers even when the mind tries to forget. And Mehar looked away first, her fingers shaking, her pulse racing, and Aras wanted to speak, but fear held his throat tight. He stood up slowly and walked toward her, every step heavy, as if memories were pulling him back. And when he reached her table, he stopped and said one word, hello, and the word felt like a wound opening again. Mahar looked at him, her eyes carrying storms and quiet oceans, and she whispered hello back, and silence sat with them at the table, like a third person. Aras asked, how are you? And Mehar replied, I am trying, and the truth inside those words was sharp. Aras said, I am trying too, and they both stared at their tea, like it held answers to questions neither could say out loud. They talked not like lovers, not like strangers, but like two souls who shared a grave and still breathed. Somehow Mehar said, did you ever wonder if things could be different? And Aras said, every day, and his voice shook like a broken bridge. Mehar said love was not our problem. Life was, and Aris nodded, because sometimes love is not enough to save what people lose inside themselves. The rain stopped. They stood outside under the wet sky, and no one said goodbye. They just walked away again, but something small had changed. The world was still heavy, but not as dark. A week later, Aris sent a message. He wrote, I hope you are eating well. Nothing more. Nothing less. Mehar stared at the screen for long minutes, then typed, I am trying, thank you. It was not love. It was not hate. It was a quiet connection, still breathing under ash. Days turned into conversations, slow, careful, gentle. Aris found reasons to smile again. Mehar found reasons to breathe again. They did not talk about the past. They only talked about now because sometimes the present is all a broken heart can handle. One day, Mehar stood at the same library shelf and felt something shift inside.